The streets are a myth for real. It's your good man, Tone Space. I've been tapping into, the hottest thing in hip hop right now. What's the hottest thing in hip hop? Podcasts, guest stars. The information age, entering the age of Aquarius, where it's more about what's coming out people's mouths, people telling the stories of yesteryear and all that other stuff. I guess that's a little monologue for what I'm talking about, right? But to the point, the brother Math Hoffa, my Expert Opinion podcast host and company, is under scrutiny now by the streets, by the so-called streets. And I gotta agree with Troy Ave on one thing: the streets are a myth. He coined that phrase correctly, but what is going on? This is why people are upset with Math Hoffa, because Math Hoffa put Troy Ave as a guest on his show. And I guess some people in the streets, that extra snitchy, scrutinous type ilk, are saying, oh, Troy Ave, a snitch. How could you do that? You're supposed to have principles. Like, that's like the new theme that I've been hearing, like, last quarter of 22, early 23, from the streets. That word has been coming out a lot, or these words, morals and principles, regarding street individuals. Morals and principles, morals and principles. Come on, man, how can you have dude on your show? It's going against the morals and principles. You know he's a snitch, right? Snitch, snitch, snitch. First off, let's just hypothetically say Troy Ave is a snitch. What does that mean? That means controversy. And I'm not even talking about on the level of views, controversy creates cash, Eric Bischoff, all that shit. No, I'm just talking about if someone's controversial, wouldn't you, I'm asking you that's watching this video right now, wouldn't you want to hear that man or that woman's story? If someone put a label on them for this or that, isn't that going to draw your attention? Isn't that going to draw interest? Troy Ave was in a situation that has drawn a lot of interest. People want to know what he got to say, considering what happened and what he's been through. Now, I understand it gets sticky. It's an open case. I think Taxstone is locked up fighting murder, whereas Troy Ave is fighting attempted murder. Two separate cases, but linked together at the same situation. If you know, you know. I'm not doing too much background. Look it up. Irving Plaza, Troy Ave, Taxstone shooting and all that, right? So, okay, one thing I can agree with, the only thing I really can agree with from all these people trying to jump down Math's throat for interviewing a dude, is okay, if it's an open case, and if anything Troy Ave says while on said podcast about his case that he's fighting and about the case that Taxstone's fighting, if it can in any way further jam Taxstone up, then I do agree that there should be more discretion in play. There should be more pre-planning. Look, pre-game, how we gonna do this? All right, we're not gonna talk about yada, 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 because, all right, I don't like that bitch-ass nigga. I don't like that bitch-ass nigga either. But, we're not helping the agenda to lock him up forever. We're not doing that. Let him get free and then, whatever, right? That part I can agree with, right? So to me, it comes down to, what did Troy Ave say while on Math Hoffa's show that jammed dude up? Now, y'all in the comments could enlighten me or wisen me up to something. I don't really think he said anything that hasn't been said before. From the revealed information about both of their cases, I've heard Troy Ave on different interviews basically consistently say the same story. Now, is Troy Ave actually snitching on Taxstone and all that shit? I guess it's debatable. From my vantage point of looking at it, I don't see that. And I'm gonna get to the crux of what I really want to say. I guess I will talk about the shooting. All right, so he's at a club. Someone tries to, get up on him. He gets the gun from them. They end up shooting him. He ends up shooting back. One of his closest friends ends up getting murdered. Rest in peace to the man, Banger. You know what I'm saying? And he got locked up, and now he's fighting the case, and his defense is just that it was defense. It was self-defense. Kind of like cut and dry, simple story. Now, he's not allowed to tell his story and his way of events and defend himself just like he defended himself at Urban Plaza. He can't defend himself against the law. So what, he's supposed to just sit and do mad time? Is he? Like I said, maybe there's a couple details I'm not seeing, but somebody school me to the part in Troy Ave's case where he is like further jamming up anyone else. As I understand, they traced the gun back. Tracing of the gun had nothing to do with Troy Ave. The shit was on camera. Everything that was seen, nothing to do with Troy Ave voluntarily. Like, oh, lock this man up forever. You know what I'm saying? To me, it just seems like he's defending himself. And I mean, that just comes to the crux of what I want to say is this: morals and principles. Morals and principles. Niggas is holding on to this snitching shit like it's the most vile act in the world. But we're talking about snitching from the perspective of a street perspective, from the perspective of people in the street doing street activities. And that's why it goes back to what I said before. Great phrase by Troy Ave and great song, "The streets is a myth." Because what goes on in the streets is cutthroat. People want to put up morals and principles and rules, but where you want to find the most cutthroat activity and the most shiestiest shit, you go to two places. You go to the streets and you go to the corporate world. They are both every man for themselves, no honor amongst thieves, you know. There's no, maybe, you know, because I'm from the outside. I'm not all super street like that, so maybe I'm missing something. But from what I see a lot of murders going on in the streets. But I don't see a lot of, yo, he killed that one or that one. That went against the morals and principles of the streets. He shouldn't have did that. Why he did that for? The very core of what's tearing up our communities, the violence. What's another thing that tore up our communities? The drugs. What's kind of like the blood flow of the circulatory system that is the streets, that keep the streets up and running? Drug trafficking, drug sales. Where did the drugs come from? Iran, Contra, all that shit from the 80s, Reagan, Bush and them, came from the government. Where's the morals and principles about a man saying like, yo, that woman's pregnant, don't sell that, or don't even sell that to this fiend there, because you know that you never know who he's gonna bring his cracks back to that might be pregnant or whatever. You know what I'm saying? What happened to the black folks that's being stepped on by street individuals that's making their own money, that's making their money on the backs, the faces, the necks, and the very lives of the drug addicts? Where were the morals and principles when that came around? Nah, niggas wasn't thinking morals and principles. And I gotta salute Styles P, who was on Math Hoffa show. He kept it a buck, at least in New York. He said, look, he sold drugs because he wanted sneakers. He wanted the fly sneakers. I hear that, and I understand that. And from anywhere from 12 to 15-year-old mind, I could empathize even with that. Now, this is some new information I found. Maybe it's not totally accurate. You know, you hear new shit every day. But I just read Mandela effects, new shit comes into our reality, all types of shit. But I just recently heard that, the frontal lobe of a person's mind doesn't even fully materialize or fully mature until around the age of 25. Think about that. So one's brain isn't even all the way there until at least 25, maybe 25 to 27, right? And then you gotta like cross-reference. All right, so what's going on in the streets? All this nigga shit, all these snitching. Oh, but niggas can kill, niggas can sell drugs. Who are the ones putting these rules in place? I don't think OGs have been in the picture for some decades now, to be honest. So it's the young, still not fully functioned and developed minds that are that are putting this out, that are putting down this law book that the streets gotta follow. What, anywhere from 15 to like 24 young folks are setting and making the rules. But then it gets even crazier than that, because in a way they're not really setting and making the rules, because the reality of it, like I said, that shit is a myth. The reality of it is it's a free fall. Motherfuckers are doing anything to get over, to get their money, to put themselves and their little factions on top of another. They'll step on people, they'll snitch on people, they'll do any and everything. That shit is really a myth. But even if we wanted to fake and take a step out of it and act like there are morals and principles in place, and these morals and principles are put in place by people that haven't even matured yet. You feel me? That's why you don't hear anything about the morals and principles about murdering someone. You know? That's why you don't hear that much morals and principles if someone is like snaking somebody else out, or I don't know, switching crews, or all types of like grimy, seedy shit. Like I said, the streets and the corporate world is where you're gonna find the seediest. Probably even more the streets, because you got a little more room to flex. Corporate world, they got all these other systems in place. I don't know. But back to the Troy Ave situation. So, or rather, let me say back to Math Hoffa. So him, as an independent journalist, pop-in show, a lot of people want to talk, tell their stories and everything. He's wrong for having Troy Ave on there. You know what I think? I think all the people that are trying to scrutinize Math for having Troy Ave on his show, I bet they enjoyed the fuck out of that shit. Part of my language. I bet they enjoyed, and I bet they didn't miss a single, 10-minute clip with Troy Ave on Math Hoffa's show, and they were listening and checking in. So they're consuming the content, they're enjoying it most likely, and then they're gonna strike back and talk some shit. Why? So they, I don't know, maybe get a little attention or something, who knows. You know, niggas want to get their shit up. You know, even this video, partially I'm doing it for attention, to get my little thing popping and, you know, just start expressing myself and get my thing popping. So I can understand that. But that's just like, if you're going to be that strict to the point where now Math Hoffa is even at fault, the independent journalist, now niggas is saying, oh, I can't fuck with him anymore. So what, you're not going to watch his shit anymore? You still going to watch his shit. Like I said, you watch that Troy Ave shit. I'm talking to all of y'all. Y'all are still subscribed. You're still going to get the notifications. When this next cat comes on there, you're going to be peeping it. Yada, yada, yada. If anything, for the controversy. If anything, you're going to watch it even more now. Why? Because there's some nigga shit going on. There's a lot of controversy popping off now. But how is Math Hoffa at fault? And then people saying, yeah, you know, he's from the streets. You know, he comes from this. You know, he's part of this. He's part of this ilk, and he's part of, he's under these rules and these morals and principles that the streets are supposed to go by. Math Hoffa is that. How do we know that? Yeah, you know, he came up in battle rap. He snuffed a couple people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, now y'all are like just labeling that man. I mean, I ain't really all deep into knowing Math Hoffa's history like that. I got people that know him and, you know, circle of folks around him and shit, but I don't know the man personally. So I can't say I know like all his street activities and dealings. Maybe some shit is revealed that I'm just not aware of, but what it sounds like to me, it sounds like people are taking a little sketch and turning it into a Picasso. Meaning, like, the sketch would be like, oh yeah, you see Math in battle, snuffing some people, getting into fights on his Brooklyn shit, whatever. And now you automatically put him as a Picasso, meaning like this uber super street dude that, yeah, I'm 100% with this code or whatever, and yeah, can't have Troy Ave on the show. Even though I'm an independent journalist, I'm making money, about to be a millionaire off this shit, but nah, I'm a street man first. Because he had a couple fights, because he snuffed some people. A lot of people snuff people. I snuff people. I don't consider myself some big super street dude. Now, as far as like drug dealing and everything, I'm not too in tune with Math Hoffa's music, but I do hear that intro, or that outro rather, in his clips on the thing. It's Hoffa, backpacker turned smack rapper. The only smack rapper that you know, smack rappers. Got bars I can hang with the backpackers. Trap stars, da-da-da. Then he said something else about serving the fiends or something. So, in his little thing, he did imply that, you know, he did the drug selling thing, but that could just be talking shit. Remember, once upon a time, hip hop, street related hip hop, it was conventional for people to just talk street shit without necessarily living it. I know that may sound weird. It may sound like cap. I know it was a fitted or a knitted, but yeah, it may sound like some other shit. But no, that's what Tupac was. That's what Nas was. You know, Pac had stories about all types of shit. His children, he didn't have any children, at least that he knew or anyone knew about selling drugs. Pac sold drugs for maybe like 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? There was one time where people were kind of like what Math Hoffa is, kind of like journalists, and they were just speaking from perspectives of other shit. I know Matt is like, what, 40, 41? So, you know, he may be part of that era. So he may feel he has a creative license to talk about selling drugs. He might not have sold soap. I don't know. You know what I mean? I can't say for sure. But my point still does stand, is that like all of a sudden, you know, just to me, just from seeing a little of what this man has done, snuffed a couple people, Brooklyn nigga, whatever, all of a sudden niggas know his whole jacket, so to speak. You know, does he have a fucking huge criminal arrest warrant? Because to me, the brother seemed like, you know, a mature dude. He seemed like somebody that, you know, has matured more. Watching that nigga shit is like watching some Dr. Phil. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, I appreciate the sound mind that I hear from him when I watch his shit. You know what I'm saying? So how's someone just gonna say, oh, he has to? Do y'all know that man? Do y'all know his history like that? I don't know. I don't. I'm not gonna say I do. But it just seems to me like niggas is just drawing this expectation from him just off of seeing a little bit of stuff. And that shit is kind of weird, you know? It's like niggas want to keep niggas in boxes, and that's like a black folk thing as a whole. Even like the Black Power movement. If you're pro-black, now you can't partake in this and that because it's not black related. Like niggas is always trying to keep us in like these little boxes and these little segments, and you can't step out this. So all right, Math Hoffa snuffed a couple people in some battles, and now, oh, because of that, he can't be a neutral journalist like a Vlad or an Adam 22. No, you have a street history. You must abide by these rules that I say, that was created by a 15-year-old whose frontal lobe didn't even develop. You know what I'm saying? The shit is just weird to me. Real weird to me. I don't get it. You know, it's limiting. I'm not a fan of that limiting type of culture. So if Math Hoffa were to interview 6ix9ine, he's gonna be out for that. They really gonna jump down his throat than if he interviews 6ix9ine. Wouldn't that be a more interesting video, like a 6ix9ine interview in 2023? Wouldn't that be more interesting probably than a 6ix9ine interview in early 2018 before he allegedly or snitched on niggas and all that other weird shit he did? What's wrong? Like, why are people shunning people? Let's say someone is the bad guy, let's say. So you're supposed to stay away from the bad guy. You can't hear the bad guy's story. Even though the bad guy's story could give you some perspective, and you know, they could probably teach you something just on the strength of being the bad guy. Because you already know the values of the good guys, quote unquote, you know what I'm saying? You've already got that covered. So wouldn't you want to, like, take a brief moment to go into the mind of someone else whose belief systems and get down is different than what you conventionally consider yours? You know what I'm saying? So even if someone is like the snitchiest snitch in the world, I think that's more reason to have him on the show and to hear what that motherfucker got to say. And maybe we could break down some of the walls of this immature bullshit that we have in the hip-hop culture. You feel me?